Nagarjuna's मूल मध्यमक कारिका मूल मध्यमक कारिका. There are a total of 448 verses in this karika, which is divided into 27 chapters. The first chapter of this karika is examination of condition, and the first verse of this karika is na satah napi paratah na dabhyam napo hetuta utpanna jatu vidyante bhava kachano kechano. Na satah napi paratah na dabhyam napo hetuto utpanna jatu vidyante bhava kachano kechano. That means no existence whatsoever are evident anywhere that are arising from themselves, from another, from both, or from a non-cause. In this verse, Nagarjuna presents his negative thesis, which in the dedicatory verse he expressed with the 8 negations. Aniradham, Anutpadam, Anuchedam, Asasatam, Anekartham, Ananartham, Anagamam, Anirgamam. That means the non-ceasing and the non-arising, and the non-annihilation and the non-permanence, and the non-identity and the non-difference, and the non-appearance and the non-disappearance. Chandrakirti realized that self-causation, Sata Utpatti, is based on the belief in a permanent and eternal self or substance. Quoting Buddha Palito, he maintains things are not arising from self, because such arising is meaningless. For there is no purpose in the arising of things that are already existent. In the present verse, Nagarjuna appears to use the argument from empiricism to deny the substantialist view. Nagarjuna was saying that substance is not evident na vidyate, and therefore inappropriate na jujjate. Chandrakirti was maintaining that substance is not appropriate na jujjate, and therefore not evident na vidyate. Second verse, chattaro pratyaya hetuscha alammanam anantaram tathaiva adhipatayam cha pratyayo nasti panchama. Chattaro pratyaya hetuscha alammanam anantaram tathaivadhipatayam cha pratyayo nasti panchama. That means there are only four conditions. There are only four conditions, namely primary condition, hetu, objectively supporting condition, alambanam, immediately contiguous condition, anantaram, and dominant condition, adhipataya. A fifth condition does not exist. Chandrakirti's comments on this verse have misguided almost everyone who analyzed the contents of this chapter. He could not have been unaware that the theory of four conditions was presented for the first time by the Abhidharmikas. However, he failed to distinguish the Abhidharma theory from those of the interpreters of the Abhidharma, namely the Sarvastivadins like Vasumitra and the Sautantrikas. He simply assumed that the theory of conditions represents an instance of external causation. Hence, his statement, therefore, since things arise from those that are external, there is arising from another. Tasmat ebho parobhutebho bhavanam utpattir asti parato utpattir iti. In the first place, such an interpretation would leave a rather trained image of Nagarjuna as an unsystematic philosopher. For having spoken of four causal theories, beginning with self-causation, Satutpatti. Nagarjuna is here represented as elaborating upon the second, namely external causation, Parato Utpatti, ignoring self-causation altogether. Secondly, while the four causal theories mentioned in first chapter in first verse are categorically denied by Nagarjuna, no such denial is made of the four theories of conditions. Thus, unlike Chandrakirti, Nagarjuna seems to have accepted the Abhidharmika theory of four conditions without characterizing it either as self-causation or as external causation. After stating the Abhidharma theory, after stating the Abhidharma theory, Nagarjuna then proceeds to analyze the views of interpreters of Abhidharma and as the verse that immediately follows seems to indicate, he found that these are the ones who produce theories of self-causation and external causation out of the Abhidharma theory of conditions. Third verse, na hi sabhavo bhavanam pratyayadishu vidyate na hi sabhavo bhavanam pratyayadishu vidyate avidyamane sabhave parobhavo na vidyate. That means the self nature of existence is not evident in the condition. In the absence of self nature, other nature too is not evident. These indeed are the most significant statements of Nagarjuna in the present chapter. The first statement is not a simple but an emphatic denial, nahi, of the view that the substance or self nature or sabhava of an existent is found in the condition. Since the theory of conditions is primarily a Buddhist theory, and since among the Buddhist schools the first to advocate a theory of substance, sabhavo, dravya, at this early stage was the Sarvastivada school. There can be little disagreement that Nagarjuna's statement represents a outright rejection of the Sarvastivada interpretation of the condition. This denial needs to be carefully analyzed. This denial needs to be carefully analyzed. In the first place, as noted earlier, the phrase used to express the denial is na vidyate, is not evident, and na jujjate, not proper, or na upapaddate, not appropriate. Hence, the denial should be empirically grounded. Secondly, there is no outright denial of the conditions, but only of self nature, but only of self nature. Neither the Buddha nor the early Abhidharmikas, neither the Buddha nor the early Abhidharmikas assume that identity defined as permanent substance or self nature is a necessary condition for the explanation of conditions or of dependence or pratitya samutpada. When no such absolute identity is perceived, when no such absolute identity is perceived, is it the case that absolute difference is perceived. This would be the case only if the perceptions are confined, restricted to the two extremes, not otherwise. In the discourse to Katayana, the Buddha maintains that he will teach a middle position without approaching the two extremes of existence and non-existence. That means he was providing an explanation of existence without relying upon this particular form of explanation. And that middle position allows for an explanation of experience or perception, of arising and ceasing in terms of dependence. It is indeed a similar view of existence and non-existence that Nagarjuna is denying, without at the same time denying the doctrine of condition or of dependence. Patitya Samutpada. Verse 4. क्रिया न प्रत्ययवती ना प्रत्ययवती क्रिया, क्रिया न प्रत्ययवती ना प्रत्ययवती क्रिया, प्रत्यया ना क्रियावंत क्रियावंतश्च तनत्तौत. That means activity, kriya, activity is not constituted of conditions, nor is it non-constituted of conditions. Conditions are neither constituted nor non-constituted of activity. The term kriya used in philosophical discourse can convey two meanings. First, it can refer to an inherent activity, a power or potentiality, shakti, in something to produce an effect. Activity would then be an embodiment of a condition, kriya pratyayavati, or a condition would be an embodiment of activity, pratyaya kriyavanta. In case the activity or the condition is said to produce the effect, this once again is the substantialist interpretation of causation. If the philosophical explanation of experience is confined, restricted to the two alternatives, then the contrasting view would be that activity is not an embodiment of a condition, apratyavati kriya, or that a condition is embodiment of activity. And Nagarjuna says no to both extremes. The denial of the above extremes does not mean the denial of a second meaning that can be attributed to both kriya and pratyaya, namely the pragmatic view which defines both in terms of the effect. Nagarjuna was not unaware of such an explanation of activity. For in the Buddhist context, kriya is generally identified with arthokriya or simply karitra. Fifth verse. उत्पद्यते प्रतित्तेमान इति में प्रत्यया किला. उत्पद्यते प्रतित्तेमान इति में प्रत्यया किला. जावनो नोत्पद्यतो इमे तावनो ना प्रत्यया कथम. That means these are conditions because depending upon them these arise. So long as these do not arise, why are they not non-conditioned? The first line of this verse presents a definition of a condition that would satisfy the pragmatic sense referred to earlier and therefore would be acceptable to the early Buddhist as well as Nagarjuna. However, Nagarjuna wants to make sure that there are no metaphysical interpretations of this definition of condition. Would someone assume that for this statement to be true, the dependence has to be invariable and eternal? In fact, the Sarvastivada notion of self-nature in terms of which they define a condition implied such eternalism. In spite of the Sarvastivada assertion, no such guarantee can be given empirical grounds. If so, it is appropriate to ask the question as to whether the so-called condition is to be called a non-condition. so long as the effect does not arise. That means that it is inappropriate to say that a condition is such by its own nature. Instead, it becomes a condition depending upon the arising of the effect. Sixth verse, নৈবাস্ত নৈব শত প্রত্যয় রথস্য যুজ্যতে অসত প্রত্যয় কোস্য শতশ্চ প্রত্যয়েন কিম. That means a condition of an effect, that is either non-existent or existent is not proper. Of what non-existent is a condition? Of what use is a condition of the existent? Here the condition is examined in relation to the effect, even though the criticism up to now has been directed on the metaphysical notion of a substantial condition and not on a pragmatic definition understood in relation to the effect. The present verse is intended to clarify the nature of the effect. The question is, in terms of what kind of effect should a condition be defined? An effect existent in terms of self-nature needs no support for its arising, and as such a condition would be meaningless. An effect that is non-existent in the sense of being absolutely different from the condition will not be related in any way to a condition. Seven verse, न सन ना सन न सत्सन धर्म निवर्तते यदा, न सन ना सन न सत्सन धर्म निवर्तते यदा यदा कथम निवर्तक हेतुर इवं सति ही युज्यते. That means, since a thing that is existent or non-existent or both existent and non-existent is not produced, how pretend in that context would a producing cause be? This is an examination of the first of the four conditions referred to in first chapter, second verse, namely a primary condition, hetu pratyaya. After examination the nature of a condition and the effect or the casually arising phenomena, patitya samutpanno dharma. In this and the next three verses, Nagarjuna is directing his attention to the four specific conditions formulated by the Abhidharmikas. In defining the primary condition, the Abhidharma refers to 5 of the 6 causes. They are a cooperative cause, first cooperative cause, or factors that work together in producing another. Second, the complementary cause, which is a cause helping other causes of its kind. Third, the associated the associated cause. Fourth, the all pervading cause, and the fruiting cause, vipak hetu. However, the interpreters of the Abhidharma defined a primary condition as producing of a root cause. Nagarjuna, in the hope of the clarifying the implication of the definition, raises the question as to whether this condition is supposed to give rise to an existent phenomena or a non-existent phenomena, or something that is both existent and non-existent. The early Abhidharmikas do not seem to have involved themselves in such speculation regarding the absolute identity or absolute difference between a condition and its effect. Hence, this criticism of Nagarjuna appeals only to the later interpreters of the Abhidharma conception of a primary condition. Thank you.